We've covered in a lot of these movie files about how do you record data, how do you get a test running when you first get your program and stuff. But now we're going to get into how do you analyze the data? What is the data telling you? And I think we showed you in a previous file here. Let's see, general operation. Nope. On the main screen, we're going to show a flow coefficient here. And that is these dotted lines down here, flow coefficient. And flow coefficient is basically a way of saying how efficient is the head flowing, which is a useful thing. It's useful if you see this number jumping around, this dotted lines jumping around, it's saying you're not getting good data. You probably got a mistake in your flow test data someplace. And like we also said, typical flow curve will go up fairly linear and then start bending over when it gets to higher lifts. Typically, this bend in this curve occurs at an L over D of about 0.25. So it's about half-inch lift on this particular valve, and half-inch lift would be right around here. That's where you can see it starts bending. It's going up fairly steep, and then right there it starts bending over. And in the exhaust, it's probably here around 4/10 of an inch lift. And you go over here, L over D 0.25 is right at 4/10 of an inch lift. That's where the bend occurs here. And you can see as you go through this, it changes colors here, and it changes colors here. We have it set up to change colors. And that's just a nice reminder that red means the exhaust is hot, red, and blue is cold or cool, and that is the intake flow. And it's just a little reminder to make sure you keep track of I'm on the intake, I'm on the exhaust. But let's say you want to do some analysis, and let's a lot of people do like reports. Before we do that, let's click on engine. Engine is some very simplistic engine specs, mostly cam specs. This is all cam specs here. But you can see down here in the lower right corner some general, very general engine specs: bore stroke, number of cylinders, Conrod length. We only use that for some other detailed calculations. But what we use this for is to get and this is only available in the Pro version of the software, a particular report. Well, there's more than one type of report. But you can see we've got a lot of pre-programmed types of reports pre-programmed in. But here's what we use that data for: engine performance. It's sort of like one of our engine analyzers. It's not nearly as detailed as even our most simplistic engine analyzer. They go into a lot more detail on what size carb, what's your runner lengths, all this other stuff. But this can be useful to just give to a customer that these heads should be capable of this. And obviously, depending on what cam you put in, it's going to change your flow potential. You know, if you got heads that flow great at 7/10 of an inch lift, but you never get up to 7/10 of an inch lift because of the cam and rocker ratio, doesn't matter how good it flows up there, you're not going to take advantage of it. But you can see here in this report, gives you an estimate of torque and horsepower and CFM airflow and where it thinks the peaks are going to occur. It thinks the torque peak for this combination will be 5,500, 7,200 for horsepower peak. And it gives you some suggestions for some runners and such. Down here, there is some estimate idle vacuum also, but also some what we call flow coefficient. And you should go to the book that talks about intake flow coefficient and such. These are good ideas to give you an idea of how well these heads flow, especially with this particular cam. Let's go through some other report types. We'll just do intake and exhaust, the raw flow data. And here's something interesting. I believe this thing was actually tested. It shows here at 28. We're correcting it at 28. But let's say you got a friend who does all his work at 25 inches. Okay. If you clicked on no here, it wouldn't even ask you for this, and it would just automatically give it to you at 28 because that's what you floated at. But let's say we want this stuff corrected to 25. Now for this, so your raw data comes in here. I don't believe the raw data reports it at the exact test pressure that was recorded, because this was recorded with electronics. You can see it's approximately 28, but we recorded exactly at what the number was. And that's why you see all these decimal places here. And here is the raw corrected CFM. We didn't do a leakage check here, so there's no leakage. All the way down. See, I'm sliding the slide bar down all the way to exhaust number 7. Now, I want to show you some neat features that you can do with the report. I'm going to back up here and go up to Preferences and Emailing. You have some emailing specs here. On my particular computer, Outlook Express is my email program. You may have something else. This has been troubleshooted the most with Outlook Express, obviously, because I've got it here. And this would work real well if you're using Outlook Express. Another thing you can do with printing and graphing here is you can have your name, a couple of lines of characters or words show up at the top of your printouts. This is good advertising for your company. And I'm just going to type something in here. So I've typed something in. And another thing that's pretty neat is you have put a company logo on your printouts. It's a little logo file. So you click on Browse, and you can find, I'm going to put one of our trademarks on there. And it loads it right here. And with those changes, and with the emailing change, we're going to save the changes. And I'm going to show you some kind of neat stuff. Click on Report. Make the report again. Here's our raw data. I'm going to click on Print. Print results. And what I'm going to do here, it gives a lot of checkboxes. What do you want to include in the report? I'm not going to include the engine specs because it's not being used for this particular raw data. But let's say I'm going to include a lot of other things here. I'm not going to include a request a report comment. That's something I could, well, let's do it just to show you how it's done. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on Email as a PDF file. Now this is going to depend on a couple of things. One of them is that you got some kind of a PDF writer program like Acrobat Distiller, like a full Acrobat on your computer, or some other kind of PDF writing printer software available, and that you've got some kind of email program that's compatible with this. But if you do, it's going to tell you, here's that report comment it's asking for. Just type something in, click on OK. It's like it said there, it's got Portfolio Analyzer PDF is the file it's going to make, and the hourglass comes up because it's going to get Acrobat and Outlook Express involved here. So you just sit back, and right now it's doing my Outlook Express. It's showing you, here's the logo printed up here. And it is going to, you can see everything here. I'm going to go down through here. Here's your raw data. Here is the comments and stuff that you wanted with this, or the settings, the specs. Detailed head specs I showed in the previous thing. Everything's blanked out here, so you'd have some nice information here if you used it, but nothing's been filled in. Here's some stuff that's filled in, some looks like some garbage stuff. But anyway, you'd have a place to put all this good information for details and the flow bench specs for the SuperFlow 600, what ranges were used and stuff. So we're going to shut that down. And here is our email. As you type in email addresses, they do get saved. Here's a couple ones. This is the one I just did. I'm going to type something else in, show you how it's done. tech@performancetrends.com. I'm just going to put in some stuff like that. Send it. And there it goes. And if I go to my Outlook Express, I will have this report printed with Adobe Acrobat. Very nice for sending to your customers, or maybe somebody else is working on your stuff with you.